Trevor Lawrence got paid. He is now tied with Joe Burrow as the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. He's going to be making $55 million a year. Him and the Jaguars have come to an agreement on a 5-year, $275 million extension with $142 million fully guaranteed. Jacksonville made the right decision, and the salary shouldn't really be that big of an issue. I get it. Trevor Lawrence, in a lot of people's eyes, is viewed as the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. But if you think about what he means to the city of Jacksonville, he's a blessing to Duval. Before Trevor Lawrence arrived in Duval, Jacksonville didn't get any national attention at all. They weren't playing in any primetime games, and you barely could have fans filling out the whole entire stadium. Ever since T-Law has become QB1 for the Jaguars, people now pay more attention to this franchise than what they've ever had since it first came into existence nearly 2-3 decades ago. And when you have somebody as good as Trevor Lawrence, who is by far the most talented quarterback that Jacksonville has ever had, you have to pay the dude what he's asking for. You aren't going to play hardball with the best quarterback in your franchise history, unless you want to go back to the dark days before sunshine arrived of Blaine Gabbert, Blake Bortles, Chad Henne. Do y'all remember those days in Jacksonville when Jacksonville had god-awful quarterback play? Even if Trevor Lawrence is no more than the top 15, top 12 quarterback throughout the duration of his career in Jacksonville, he still by far is going to give them better quarterback play than what they've ever had. Jacksonville is not a big market franchise that can attract big names in free agency. And they also have missed on a lot of quarterbacks in the draft. Blaine Gabbert, Chad Henne was somebody who they picked up who was a failure with the Miami Dolphins. Blake Bortles was a whiff. Although he led Jacksonville to an AFC championship, he was the reason why that great defense broke up, because everybody knew that Blake Bortles never should have gotten paid. Trevor Lawrence is going to give Jacksonville stable, consistent quarterback play for the next decade. He is going to be able to bounce back from the down season that he had last year. We seem to forget that before Trevor Lawrence got banged up the second half of 2023, Jacksonville was in first place in the AFC with the best record in the conference at 8-1. And then after they played the 49ers, that's when things went left. But when Trevor Lawrence has been fully healthy, he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Has he lived up to the generational billing that draft analysts put on him when he came out of Clemson? Absolutely not. But there still is a lot of room for Trevor Lawrence to grow. Who cares about the turnovers that he had in the Jaguars playoff win against the Los Angeles Chargers? You want to know another quarterback who a lot of people dick ride, who had a lot of turnovers throughout his career? Andrew Luck. But I never heard people calling Andrew Luck overrated, bashing Andrew Luck for his turnover issues. And the disrespect for Trevor Lawrence is so insane that you have fools that have enough audacity to compare him and Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence, who cares what the stats say? This eye test will show you that Trevor Lawrence is by far a way more superior quarterback than what Danny Dimes is. If the Giants had Trevor Lawrence going into this season instead of Danny Pennies, Brian Daboll probably wouldn't be on the hot seat and probably wouldn't be coaching for his job. Is this a little bit of an overpay? Hell yeah, it is. Not even a little bit of an overpay. It is a massive overpay. But this is the way these quarterback contracts are starting to come out. Every time you have somebody who's at least viewed in a top 15 regard, they're going to end up exceeding the previous guy who got paid a lot of money. You know who's going to be next in line to get overpaid? It's going to be Tua Tagovailoa. But you want to know the good thing about this? 3-4 years down the line, we're going to look at this Trevor Lawrence contract and we're going to say, damn, he's making $55 million a year. But Guys like CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams potentially could be making 70, damn near 80 million this season. Jacksonville got ahead of the curve. They know Trevor Lawrence is the dude. The only people that I see saying that Trevor Lawrence isn't it, Jacksonville made a decision, are non-Jaguar fans. I'm not a Jaguars fan. I just have happened to live in this city for the majority of my life. So I've seen the travesty that Jacksonville has put out at quarterback year after year prior to Trevor Lawrence's arrival. Before he got to Jacksonville, it was dark. And then he came in, and all of a sudden, the sun started to rise. Jacksonville now is playing on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. I can never remember in all my years watching Jaguars football, Jacksonville ever playing in primetime games at night. The biggest games that I remember Jacksonville playing in were at the 425 time slot. Even that year when they went to the AFC Championship in 2017, they still didn't get a love from a lot of people in the national media, and they didn't really play in a lot of big games prime time that year neither until the playoffs rolled around. The best Jacksonville was getting was those middle of the afternoon Sunday slots. What Trevor Lawrence has meant to this city has been drastically understated by the people who aren't fans of this team. This is Jacksonville's quarterback. Not for the next 2 or 3 years, for the next decade. Is this going to be a decision that Jacksonville looks back upon in 2-3 years, like how the New York Giants do with Daniel Jones, to say, man, we really effed up giving this dude all this money? Absolutely not. Trevor Lawrence, in the few seasons that he's been in Jacksonville, has led this franchise to more success than what they've had over the last decade or so. In 2017, if you want to count that season where the Jaguars got robbed in the conference championship game, that was a one-off year. Because what happened after that? They went back to irrelevancy. Trevor Lawrence, his last 2 years, has led Jacksonville to an AFC South title, a playoff win, something that Tua doesn't have, nor Justin Herbert, but so many people have a lot of praise for those guys. But yet I heard LaShawn McCoy try to say, you know how many other quarterbacks have a playoff win? Yeah, there are some average, barely below average quarterbacks that have won in the postseason in the past, but you still can't take that away from Trevor Lawrence, considering the lack of postseason success that Jacksonville has had in the history of their franchise existence. Trevor Lawrence is going to be great for Jacksonville this season. He's going to have a bounce back year. It's so easy to judge somebody by the stats versus judging somebody via the eye test. Numbers lie. You keep trying to pitch me that the stats never lie. Yes, they do. There are a lot of quarterbacks who put up good numbers. I remember Blake Bortles had a season early into his career when he had 40 damn touchdowns, and most of them came in the fourth quarter because Jacksonville was getting blown the hell out by multiple possessions, and they had no choice but to throw the football, and the defenses were playing prevent because they weren't trying to give up a lot of big plays, so Blake Bortles could just dink and dunk downfield. So don't try to pitch me the whole argument that numbers don't lie, because they definitely do. And anybody that has a functioning brain that watches these games would tell you that Trevor Lawrence is not in the same class as Daniel Jones. You can call him overrated all you want to, but don't you dare disrespect him by trying to compare him as one of the NFL's worst quarterbacks in the league. This was a good move by the Jacksonville Jaguars, getting ahead and locking Trevor Lawrence up long term, because I'm pretty confident he's going to ball out this season. The worst you're going to get out of Trevor Lawrence is top 15 quarterback play. But the ceiling is Trevor Lawrence potentially playing at an MVP caliber level. I don't have any problem with the Jaguars' decision to extend Trevor Lawrence to the amount that they agreed to give him. $142 million fully guaranteed isn't that bad. We're looking at the annual salary at $55 million as the big detractor of this contract. But the guaranteed money, to me, really is what matters the most. There's no guarantee that he's always going to see every penny of that $55 million every year. You don't know if there's incentives put into this contract, stipulations put into this thing. But when Trevor Lawrence is healthy, he's putting fans in the seats, getting Jacksonville in primetime games, and they've had back-to-back winning seasons with him underneath center for this organization.